Good morning, everyone. It's Jason Schwartz here at the Neutral Zone. Welcome to our show today. Well, hello, everyone. Wherever you are in the world, you can go to MauiNeutralZone.com after this show, probably a couple hours, and it'll be up there. It lives on YouTube, and you can always find it. Besides MauiNeutralZone.com, you can put Jason Schwartz, Maui, any subject you want, and up will pop our shows up on YouTube. We are on 88.5 FM, KAKU, the voice of Maui, and simulcast on Akaku Maui Community Media, TV channel 55 on cable. We're happy to report that we have viewers that have checked in with us from all points in the world. I mean, when I get a text or a call from New Zealand, or someone said, I am in Turkey, or I am in Europe, I am thankful that we have that kind of reach. And we're in Maui Neutral Zone. It's anything but neutral. You know, I realize today it's April 15th, 2024, Income Tax Day. That means if you're a citizen, today's the day you have to get it in. I think Maui has been given a at least 3 month reprieve, and they have until like early August, to submit tax returns. I don't know how it may have changed for businesses, but the March 15th deadline, already late for that. We'll see what happens if you file your returns. I have all kinds of guests that I was thinking to bring to the show, and I've been taking it slow and easy. What that means is I am not ready to switch subjects. I am personally less than satisfied that the OLOWALU temporary disposal site, or the OLOWALU toxic disposal site, toxic dioxin and ash disposal site, and that the Central Maui landfill neighbor, that piece of land the county's been trying to get by, and eminent domain and parts they want to give. We're going to have a couple of guests today on tape. These guests weren't my guests. They were on a Zoom call that a newly created People's Council of Maui happened a couple of months ago on a Saturday. Akaku upstairs here offered the space, and a Zoom call was created as well as live, of people interested in the OLOWALU site. And I'm not sure who it was that gathered different speakers. And we were fortunate enough to get Akaku to give us the tape, not for us to put these out and try to use them somewhere else, but to put them on our show. And I thought the best way to use these clips, many of them, was to put them in different shows talking about this toxic ash. As of today, April 15th in 2024, the final resting place, as they call it, for the toxic ash is next to Central Maui, but Central Maui landfill, they haven't secured that. And even if they did secure it, global wisdom will tell them, and you'll hear it in the second recorded segment today. Global wisdom will show them that landfills never make sense, and that things like what we're doing here are just ridiculous and even more absurd for an island community. And someone just said to me before I came on air here, they wanted me to pick some of my shows to see which ones are relevant and important and how they relate to the Maui scene. We've done a lot of that over time. both with this show at Maui Neutral Zone, but even in former shows, we were talking about problems, but many times we were talking about general solutions. And today, I'm sticking with the OLOWALU issue because I believe the basic problem has still not been stopped, in that all that ash shouldn't be anywhere where it's mixed with anything, or anywhere where it has a potential to go into the ground and seep into a water table and seep into the ocean. When I see these things in the news that say, oh, the waters in West Maui are safe now for everyone to go into, I'm sorry, I do not believe that. And I not only do not believe that, we'll have future guests that show that, but I don't need to go that far. I don't have any power to make things happen except to be the media, to put out things that you, the public, should see, and that you can use your influence to influence those people that you know that do have the influence to put the important data in front of people that can make the choices. Stop bringing toxic ash to OLOWALU. Don't even think about then transporting it further to the middle of the island. When you hear and understand what this stuff can do and what it has done, not only here, but in years past. The last show I had on, we had Federal Reserve Don Brown, on talking about his personal experience with dioxin in New Zealand. There's a 20, 30, 40-year history of this and what it can do and what it does. There's history, and there's people studying this for more than one, more than two, more than 3 decades. Why the Environmental Protection Agency and the Army Corps of Engineers haven't taken these things and put them into their bag of tricks and come out with better solutions to the problem we have here in Lahaina with this ash. I don't know. I don't know what it takes. You know, sometimes we've heard people talk about follow the money. I'm sure that the company in OLOWALU that has the trucks that's moving the ash and all the things that are doing, they're not the ones that started and made these decisions. They're beneficiaries, if you want to call it, of getting this big pay work and doing these things that are, I think, inappropriate. I hope that you find it's inappropriate to bury a toxin where 2 different streams that create the water table in West Maui and in the reef area can leach over time into the ground. No matter how many times they've contained it, it has been found that in every place that they've created these safe solutions, they're just doing temporary things. They're just hiding it. They're hiding the long-range impacts because these things do leak. No matter where you put it, you can take this stuff and box it, get it out of the potential for the wind to blow it or to put it in the ground, put it in containers. That makes sense, doesn't it? Why are we not being heard? Well, we're going to keep putting up pieces, and then we're going to start calling out. Remember, this is a call-in, 808-873-3435, and call out talk show. That means we're not just going to sit here and give information. We're going to give information and aim people here, but we're also going to call them out on the air. And we're going to be calling them from the air and requesting that they be on our show and show us why they're continuing to do what they're doing. And I hope this becomes a big deal, a very big deal, because this media piece wants to be interactive. How many years do we have to be talking about solutions and not seeing them implemented by people that represent us? And in something as important like the future of the health of our people and the future of Lahaina and anyone coming and using it, we can get people back on their land. I just saw an Instagram post. Eddie Garcia as Living Earth Systems posted. He was there with a gal named Patty who has a property, and there's a container, and they are taking the ash and putting it into the container rather than putting it into trucks and driving it to OLOWALU still, or potentially driving it further. Again, I can't imagine why we keep hearing in the news cycle about this central Maui landfill when we now have shown experts mentioning it, and they're ready to come here and show us that landfills are never a sensible choice for any of our waste. And there are different technologies that can handle many of the aspects of what's going on here. We've heard them through segments that we've put into shows. I think this is the 8th or 9th show that we've done about this OLOWALU temporary disposal site. And frankly, I'm really tired of doing this subject and talking about it, but I don't think it's worth letting go, because the future of tourism on our island, the future of our island's people are important. I mean, if you listen to last show and you hear that dioxin poisoning, Agent Orange, is generations of birth defects, generations of issue. And we know that we're setting this condition up right now by what we're doing. We have to stop the powers that are from doing it right now. You know, I'm not ready to go stand in front of the highway and block this. That's not me. But I think that this is an election year. I think if we don't stop the continued poisoning of our island in the long term, that we need to change our leaders, and we need to let those leaders know nicely, because we're not against them. We want them to be able to make the right decisions, and we don't go away just because it's getting to be yesterday's news. This isn't yesterday's news. This is today's news and should be up there at the top of the list. Even before your income tax filing, even before everything. The fact that we keep moving toxic ash to a temporary site with a vision of taking it even further, what can I say? It's nuts. I'm going to play you a segment. There was a gentleman that was on the People's Council of Maui. He was invited. His name was Kevin DeWhitt from PDO Technologies on the mainland. I'm not sure who gathered the guests for that show, but we've had many of them on here by having those segments and repeating those segments here. I want to call them bite size. So when you're watching later and you want to watch on YouTube or at akaku.org and find the shows, or whatever you'll find, MauiNeutralZone.com, you will see images that go along with this sound. So here's Kevin DeWhitt, and he'll take it from here.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kevin DeWhitt. I'm the founder of a company called PDO Technologies, and that piggybacked on a company I founded in 2004 called Agilix. I've been in the pyrolysis of plastics sector since 2000, so this is my 24th year of doing this. And I'm the first to tell you that pyrolysis is not a perfect solution for everything, but it's a good solution, a really good solution for certain things. So that's always the way it is, right? There's no such thing as a Swiss Army knife of technologies, a technology or multiples that will solve everything. But I think we've got a good group here that can help solve a lot of the problem, and that's what we're here to hopefully do. The community's already been just devastated by this accident, and we want to do what we can to help because you deserve it. So I'm going to share my screen and go through a very just mostly pictures. Let me see if I can do that. There we go, and share that. Hopefully everybody can see that. I think I can. All right. So I've been looking at the chat on the meeting. There's a few people that are pretty outspoken on things, and that's fine. I am never one to not listen to other people. Iron sharpens iron, and arguments that people have against and for technologies ought to be debated in a healthy way and put to test. That said, I really dislike when things are sort of generalized at and words like toxics and toxins thrown around. That's a very general term that has 1,000 different meanings. So what we do is, again, not a perfect solution, but it's a good solution for certain things. And Skip alluded to one of the things we want to do, which is to maybe put a technology over there that maybe will serve in the short term with the cleanup, and I hope it will. But in the longer term, it'll could certainly serve with the plastics component of your waste stream and remediating that and getting it changed back into a useful form. So we think we provide a smarter end-of-life solution for plastics, and there we go. I'm not going to read this text to you, and I think if anybody wants this deck, and I send it to the people over in Lahaina, they can look at this and read it themselves. Have gone through a lot, have deployed this system commercially, was successful in working with venture folks and waste management and Total Petroleum way back in the day in 2011, 2012. We raised a lot of money, deployed systems, and they all worked. The technology worked. It still works. Yeah, sometimes the economics challenging, and that's legitimate, right? Businesses like mine have to survive based on their profitability and not just subsidies and goodwill. So that's what we've tried to do. We've tried to make our system very, very small scale. I'll show you a picture of that in a minute. What we've done recently in the last 9 years, but really in the last 4 years, is to invent a catalyst at PDO that can take waste plastics pyrolysis and force the end product to be a fuel like Skip's process does. It sort of guarantees that outcome, and we're very happy with it, and we'll be deploying that into our systems over the next few years. Obviously, this is not a picture of Lahaina. This is, I think, Indonesia. But certainly they had a problem with waste, and that's one of those classic pictures you've seen in the upper right. And really what you don't want those rivers of plastic or the plastic floating on the rivers. What you want are clean environments and the ability for everybody to have a sustainable way of life. So we always start with why we do this, which is to clean up those messes in the top and try to result in nice clean environments in the bottom. This is technology that my first four efforts way back in the day. This is 2006, 7, 8, and 9 are the pictures left to right, top to bottom. So it's a very small scale technology. The first three pictures, if you go left to right, top to bottom, are individual process retorts. And they're capable of doing 1,000-pound charges and about 4 of those a day. So it's very, very small scale technology. They were iterations. So, by the time I got to the bottom right, which is generation 4, we had a system that was pretty good. Now you've ganged 4 reactors together. Each one's now capable of doing 5,000 pounds a day. That's 24 hours in a day. And so that system that you see in the bottom right is capable of 10 tons of waste plastic processing in a 24-hour day, or half of that if you only want to run it for 12 hours, or a third of 10 tons if you want to run an 8-hour shift and call it good. So there's with small scale technologies, there's the ability to be very nimble and to sort of design and cite enough technology to address the problem that you have. And, to Nev's earlier point, where this is not a $500 million 40-acre campus type of technology deployment. This is very, very small. Every reactor that we have can be put into containers and shipped, to the islands and then shipped back, when they're done. That's the kind of portability we have. So pictorially, that's what we do. This is more recent in the upper right. That was 2009. That was our third generation reactor. And then you'll see again that, upper left, upper right is that fourth generation. And then the bottom of that was our first commercial deployment into Minnesota. Minnesota's got some of the toughest environmental regulations in the States, in the mainland anyway. And we were able to put a 50-ton per day, 16-unit system there to handle the waste stream that our client was able to handle, was able to generate. So it's in Minnesota. We sited it properly. We permitted it properly. Air emissions were dealt with properly. And that can be done. And smaller scale systems are more adept at doing that because we don't generate really, really big, emissions problems. We have small emissions profiles that we deal with technologies that are off the shelf, whether it's oxidizers on the back end or other things. And it's not hard to do. And we've been doing this for a very long time. Again, lots of text. I won't read any of this, but it's a distributed solution for a distributed problem. Wastes in general are distributed. We make them in our houses, in our places of work, and each garbage can has to then be aggregated using standard waste management techniques. Plastics are the same way. That's really the key. Is you don't want a centralized solution for a distributed problem. You want a distributed solution for a distributed problem. The products we make, oil and gas companies will buy them and they will turn them into more plastics on an island economy like Maui or the Hawaiian Islands in general, or other island economies in the world. Probably a better use is to not ship a product back to the mainland for conversion back into plastics, but rather to use this as an off-road diesel additive, or what do we call those things? That's an additive, I guess, an amendment to the diesel, and the equipment will still run fine. The diesel will still meet the specs, and everybody will be happy with the performance. Simple slide that shows sort of we take 8 pounds in, creates about a gallon of fuel. If we want to make fuel, 8 pounds in will generate about 6.5 pounds of product if we want to turn it back into plastics. There's always a little bit that doesn't want to cooperate. Mostly that's the amendments in plastics that are not really plastic to begin with. We're pretty easy to deploy, shipping in containers, not a specialized team of people to run this stuff. And I think that's about it for me. Well, here's Agriplast on the upper left. That's where I work. We co-locate with people who already know how to accumulate and acquire and aggregate waste plastic. The middle picture is our newest technology. You can see it's a little different from the old ones, and that's because it's got that sort of catalytic bed in it. And then in the upper right, we've the product we have made, we've mixed with diesel. 25%. Our product is 75% off-road diesel, and people use it in generators and in tractors, and it works just fine. I think that is it. And there's the team. Didn't need to see my picture. You're probably looking at me and tired of me already. But I've got some great people. These are all former Agilix folks. It's a lot of experience to bear, and pretty proud of the team. We've got a lot of experience in this effort. Somebody online, I think, I was looking at the chat, wanted to talk about the differences between pyrolysis and incineration. And really, it's just the lack of oxygen. We heat things up without oxygen, and if you do that, you won't burn anything. The resulting product we make is a burnable product, to be sure. It's a fuel, if you want to use it as a fuel. But it's not incineration, even though the EPA has unfortunately lumped in pyrolysis for other reasons. They're scientifically and technically wrong, but in the administrative codes, in law, that's what they lump everybody together as, is incineration. It's unfortunate. It's too bad they can't or won't change that, but there you have it. We're still not incineration, folks. If you have a fire triangle of fuel, ignition, and oxygen, if you leave out the oxygen, you don't have fire. So we do our best to be safe and mindful, and if we can help in the short term, we'd love to do so. I think to the other speakers' points, there's not a lot of plastic that's not commingled with ash or metal or other things. And so if there's not a lot of need in the short term because we can't segregate that plastic away, that's okay. In the longer term, though, to Homer and Skip's points, solutions that are small scale that are on the islands moving forward will actually help address these plastics problems because they will keep accumulating. And we'd really like to do something more beneficial with that material than landfill it, which is really not a good pathway on an island, or even ship it back, right? That's just a lot of fuel that's not very useful. So thanks for taking the time to listen. Hope I didn't overstay my welcome, and I'll turn it back to Philip, who's got some really, really interesting technologies as well.
Well, Philip's coming up soon. I didn't try to guess at the last name. He'll tell you in a moment who he is. Thank you, Kevin DeWhitt, PDO Technologies. Pyrolysis, the process of heating things up without oxygen, can be used to create many different outputs. Some of you will remember when I brought Michael Smith on, God, that's now 3-4 years ago, right before the COVID pandemic, and we were talking about a movie that was on where Michael was, unfortunately, his facility in Montana was burned specifically and surprisingly and mysteriously to the ground. And we talked about a technology of taking green waste and using this pyrolysis process, using fuel created out of a system from taking green algae and processing it into fuel in through a jet engine, reducing that green waste, and the result is biochar, the charcoal carbon base left afterward. And as the temperatures are rising through that pyrolysis process, to be able to extract phytoceuticals that can help all our plants grow better. And again, you hear that you can get all kinds of things out of different kinds of waste, and that there are many different technologies that used together can solve a lot of the problems. And you heard it mentioned just in passing that landfills aren't a good idea. And we know that already, but you know, these people with their experience, these are not new experiences. They're talking about 25 years of experience. And wait till you hear this next gentleman, Philip. You know, I don't know what it is and why the accept money, and I don't know what else it could be, why the people that are in charge aren't hearing these kinds of testimonies and information given to them. They're not reviewing them and realizing that the course they're taking, even if it's paid for by the federal government, is not the right answer. It's going to destroy our community. And over time, the damage done now is a long-term damage, way, way, way bigger in its impact than the even billions of dollars that the federal government is allocating for this. So this gentleman, he'll introduce himself. His name is Philip, and he lives in Seattle. This was, again, on February 5th, the People's Council of Maui at a Zoom and live at Akaku Studios upstairs. But we wanted to show it in bite-sized pieces rather than a many-hour marathon that they had. And listen to this, very important, very important.
Good afternoon, honorable people of Maui. Aloha from Seattle. Losing friends and families, your homes, that's very devastating. You have my deepest sympathy and condolences for your losses. Now, being what is left, what is next is very difficult, and I'm sure there are more questions than answers. My name is Philip Schmidt-Pattmann. I came to the US from Hamburg, Germany over 30 years ago to attend the university here. I have a BA in economics and an MBA and an MIS. I maintain a very close relationship to Germany, and I'll explain in a second why. For the past 26 years, I've been in the field of resource management with a specific emphasis on how best to manage waste, the waste we produce, deal with renewable energies and such. I have seen a lot of injustice and decisions that were made based on short-term gains of special interests and not for long-term economic and environmental reasons taken into consideration the ones who are affected most, which is the public. To make a stand and create awareness and to offer alternative solutions that are proven to work economically as well as environmentally, I co-founded the Institute for Energy and Resource Management, or in short IERM, in October 2021. Half of our board members are in Europe, the other half are in the US. IERM is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We are a team of leading experts and specialists from universities, institutes, authorities, and similar institutions. We bring our expertise and proven track record to educate, to correct false information, and to counter special interests so that corrective actions protecting the people, the environment, and the economy can be taken. We work independent from technology providers. So based on our extensive experience worldwide and our overall scientific economic expertise, we have concluded that as long as we continue to rely on landfilling, as we have been in the US, we will never reach a circular economy, nor will we be able to achieve meaningful quality recycling or composting, waste reduction, or avoidance objectives, and really move towards sustainability. And because of the serious and immediate threat that landfills pose to the climate and the environment, and because little is being done in the public sector to counter the threat, IEM has made the elimination of landfilling municipal and similar reactive waste by 2030 our top priority. The goal is to replace landfilling with an integrated waste management system prioritizing the international waste management hierarchy. IEM's mission is to provide reliable research for the purpose of finding and implementing sustainable solutions to society's energy and resource management challenges. At IEM, we seek to continuously develop and use of technologies and practices that will enable us to significantly reduce the human impacts on the natural environment. IEM connects scientific research with business and policy solutions in order to serve the best interests of the public and moving toward a sustainable economic future. And you can find a lot more information about us on our website at www.ie-rm.org. So how we at IEM can help the people of Maui. We do not provide a technology, so we are not affiliated with any of the technologies you heard about today, out of principle, as we are technology independent. We have been involved in the discussion at Maui for about 2 months now, and as we understand, there are two issues. The most important one is moving forward and rebuilding. In order to do so, we offer our expertise in evaluating how best to move forward with the ash, as there are a number of options on the table, and we gladly can discuss those. And I want to emphasize a little bit on the second part, because in the rebuilding process, I think it's really critical that we're looking at not just rebuilding, but making Maui more resilient and moving toward sustainability. And if I understand this correctly, and I hope I say this right, is it Ahu Pua'a? I believe I've heard of that. So the second part is a rebuilding process where we would like to help navigate toward a sustainable future, and ranging from how we deal with a huge amount of waste and finding alternatives to the current landfill approach to replace the energy dependence on fossil fuels with renewables. So for the past 26 years, we have analyzed and studied the U.S. waste management system. The problem with landfilling is that they're artificially cheap. They are subsidized by not incorporating the true costs, such as true environmental impact, long-term maintenance, loss of resources, etc. The only way to start moving toward a circular economy is first and foremost to stop landfilling. The Europeans have passed laws that require all EU countries to phase out landfilling. Because of that, 16 countries have nearly achieved that already. including Germany, Sweden, Denmark, Austria, and so on. Landfilling all less than 5%. Germany is the fourth largest economy in the world that landfills less than 1%. The recycling, and they have over 84 million people. The recycling composting rate is tangible at over 64%, which is quality recycling, working with manufacturers to be able to reuse the materials, making new products, and working with farmers to be able to use cross-contaminated free, so no glass, no plastics, batteries, and all that stuff, compost, in, for example, agriculture. About 30% are sent to thermal treatment with energy material recovery, being able to send less than 1% to a landfill, effectively destroying the toxic organics, which is one of the biggest problems for the future that landfills leave. And one of the EU decided to require its member countries to phase out landfilling due to the environmental impacts of landfills, not due to space limitations and other things that you hear from landfill proponents. Landfills are the worst solution when dealing with waste and leave a legacy of pollution at an exponential cost. There's nothing sustainable about landfilling. Sanitary landfills are an oxymoron, meaning no landfill is sanitary. Just an acronym used by the landfill industry trying to justify landfilling. Mining landfilling, which you do have quite a few on Maui, I believe, is also an option that should be explored. To give you just a quick background, one of our board members is the current scientific advisor for Germany, moving toward a circular economy. Another was the head of the Federal Ministry of the Environment, overseeing the move away from landfilling toward an integrated waste management system, and Germany has been there since 2005. Another is a vice chair for landfilling at ISWA, the International Solid Waste Association. He is from Denmark, and we have close ties on another topic in the renewable field. We have close ties to, for example, a town in Bavaria called Wildpolsried, which for the past 15 years has taken a spotlight on a world scale and being energy independent, producing over 800% more energy than they consume with about 2,500 residents. The vice mayor who is credited for this is frequently interviewed across the world to work with communities identifying ways to become energy independent, specifically islands such as Maui. And he is involved, and entities that he is involved with in Germany are actually working with the Siemens currently on the bigger island of Hawaii to start establishing a sustainable infrastructure. So we connected to them as well. For us, one of our partners is the sanitation department of the city-state of Hamburg, Germany, which have been a zero waste to landfill city and state since 1999. They have over 100 years of waste management experience, being responsible for economically and environmentally managing waste for over 2 million people. We're also affiliated with many other universities, institutes like the Oak Institute, the IFO Institute, all independent. So we would like to work with the people of Maui if the people of Maui choose to do so. We're here to listen, and we can help and incorporate our extensive network of experts and provide a path forward, navigating systems, technologies, facts versus fiction, and grounded on decades on experience work in the best interest of the people. So I thank you very much. Mahalo, and I pass on to the next person. Thank you.
Well, I really think of all the speakers that we've heard over all these shows, that Philip, what he said there, and talking about his experience and the others in his group with experience for 2.5, 3.5 decades, and their experience in showing landfills is a mistake in general all the time, and showing many successful projects around the world that have been able to deal with waste in a responsible way. I challenge our mayor and his team to review this show and other shows, or to just get in touch with the people that were put in that presentation by Eddie Garcia before we had public testimony deciding on where to put the temporary toxic site. It's like, you guys aren't looking, and you're not looking and listening. And again, I can appreciate there's pressure because of the money needs, but I also believe that you can be talking to people that have the resources to be able to do the right thing now that can, I want to say, take the hit, but I don't believe that these technologies are going to be expensive in comparison to all the problems that are caused when we don't use these things. And I can hardly believe that we've gotten to this point. Here we are, God, 8 months maybe? I guess it's 8 months after the fire there in Lahaina, and I've still only seen this little effort, which I guess is Eddie Garcia and his group saying, look, you can take a container and contain this stuff right on your own property and then move it whenever you want to somewhere else. It is amazing that these kind of technologies and these kind of simple solutions are not being used now when so much information is available on why the way they're doing things is not the right thing. Are we, the public, expected to believe those that are telling us that these solutions are the right solutions? Well, maybe there's just not enough focus on the right solutions, and that the public doesn't hear it clearly enough and regularly enough for them to pick up their phone or pick up their email or social media or whatever and question the way things are being done. This is your family. These are your people, maybe you yourself. This is something that will impact for generations, and now is the time to make the difference and not do it the stupid way. Can I say stupid? Stupid. If we know answers and you don't do it, either you're doing it on purpose or you're just stupid or something. And I'm not really sure what it is that stops. You know, I heard Robert F. Kennedy Jr. a couple of days talking about when he makes a mistake, he can apologize and say, I made a mistake, and bring things up. I hope that we have the kind of public servants in office that can review this information and realize that they've made a mistake and change course right now, because right now is when we need to change course, not after we study it, after another year, 2 years, 10 years. We start seeing things going haywire, and we start to wonder why. When I got here in 1988, I remember it was shortly after that, there was talk about the reef on the west side having gotten algae, and that there was an algae bloom that was covering the reef and killing the reef animals and plants. And just so happened that I was gathering information, again, about energy to be able to show off technologies to create different solutions in the energy thing with Maui Electric. And what did I find on page 3 of the United States Department of Energy annual in 1983? It talks about fertilizers, and that the water bringing those fertilizers into the ocean would create an algae bloom. Now, why was that there in print, in very public, right there in the summary from the Department of Energy? And then here in 1989, 1990, what was that? When they're spending $200,000 of state money to do research. First of all, that's quite a bit of money. Maybe that's appropriate. Not to say, but why do we do it on research that we already have that should be available? Was that before the internet? Is that going to be the excuse that we don't have and didn't have the reach to know these things that are already known? Here we are again. It's many, many years later, 30 years later, a lot of years later. And we still don't know how to retrieve information. Now the internet's there. We should be able to find things even accidentally and we have no excuses. And if you are in charge of this problem and the future of the people of your island is this problem, you may listen to what the federal government says, but when you hear people that have spent the time and money to do research to show you good alternatives, you should be looking and then making wise choices before in history they mark and they mention you. Maybe they mention you by name and say, look, these people didn't take advantage of research that was given to them to show them that they were doing the wrong thing and creating a problem for the local people. Never mind why should I say never mind? The cultural abuse through what they're doing and the health abuse and just common sense. Box the toxins and deal with it somewhere, some way, but not do it in the ground or leaving it open to the air. That could all have been done and can be done right now. And it's just sickening to see this kind of thing continue. Anyway, thank you for letting me present all this, all of you out there. This has been a number of shows, but I thought this was an important enough issue to present enough information in bite-sized chunks so that we might now, I want to say, help those that are in a position of power to help us. You know that expression, let me help you help us. Yes, we want to help those that are in power. I don't want your power. I'm not looking to sit in your seat. But if your seat needs to be filled with someone else who's more responsive to an educated public to do things to save the people and save the generations, may this create more problem for you than you've ever faced before, because you shouldn't be in charge if you can't deal with this one in a more responsible way. That's my opinion. Now, we have about 7 minutes left, and I could keep talking and probably will, but I'm going to give myself a break. You know, we are independent, and we have a nonprofit also that you may realize called MAMA, Maui Arts and Music Association. And sometimes we act as PAPA, People Aligned in Positive Action. Mama and Papa are the Dream Makers Foundation. If we want a dream to come true, we have to take action. And we know that people would much rather go to an art show or much rather go and enjoy music, whether it's live or recorded. And then through that, if we have a system set up to then additionally take money to supplement development and implementation of technologies like the ones we've talked about here on these shows and more, we can be a model for the world of how to continue doing things that are acceptable to people, enjoying and supporting music and art shows and creating economic sustainability and growth in those industries, and be able to take money and put it into technologies, again, for the public good. That's what we want to do, and that's what we want to encourage. So I'm going to play a song here that I still think needs to come out of the weeds. This won a festival around the turn of the century in Canada. Louise Lambert wrote what I think is, I like to think of it, she called it an anthem. I think that's what it is. Peace in our hearts.
Every day worlds are born and worlds die away. Seems like now the world so small, we see it all right here on our TV. Seems like the more we bridge the distance, the harder it becomes for us to see. Well, if all the world's a stage, we're actors in a play with an ancient script of fear and doubt and greed. To write another page, to find a better way. Reverence for life is what we need for peace in our world, for peace in our country, for peace on our street, peace in our house. It all starts with peace in our all our future to keep the hooded horsemen from the door. We're talking peace, but building bigger weapons, so he's closer than it ever was before. But in the land of the free and the home of the brave, why do so many people need a gun? If it were just you and me, the world could be saved. 'Cause deep inside, we know what must be done for peace in our world, for peace in our country, for peace on our street, peace in our house. It all starts with peace in our truth we've always known, for peace in our world, for peace in our country, for peace on our street, peace in our house. It all starts with peace in our world, peace in our country. Don't let it fall apart. Peace on our streets, peace in our house. It all starts with peace in our hearts. Peace in our country, peace in our country, peace in our streets, peace in our house. It all starts with peace in our. It all starts with peace in our.
For peace in our hearts, for peace in our country, for peace on our streets, it all starts with peace in our hearts. I really like that song, and I think it's really appropriate now with all the trouble, crazy world, fighting everywhere, killing everywhere. It would be nice for all of us to be helping each other more. Thank you for tuning in to us today and every Monday at 11 or anytime you want, MauiNeutralZone.com. It's been a pleasure to be part of the KAKU 88.5 FM and Akaku Maui Community Media family. We hope that you will join us again next week and look at all of our shows and realize that we love you and that we are part of the solutions. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It's been a pleasure. We will see you again next week.